What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to today's video. This is xLordPainx from Global Server, and today I thought I would bring a raid video and I would show some farmable and obtainable units that can be used for anybody in the game, whether they're in raid 1 or raid 5. So we're going to show some units. We're going to talk about the statistics and prerequisites for raids. We're going to do raid 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with different units. And then we're going to talk about how we can better make these teams more stable. So thanks for tuning in. We're going to jump right into it. So why don't we first talk about some of the units that I have that we can use. There are going to be some units I'm going to talk about that unfortunately I don't have. So one of the units that we're going to talk about is the Wind Yeti Arcajan. He is a healer. He can be used on the raid frontline. He's not a unit that I have. We're going to talk about him more in detail later. But I wanted to just cover who I have that we can actually talk about. So one of the units that we're going to be covering here is actually going to be, you know what, let me do the square here, is going to be Ardella. So Ardella is an example of a DPS unit for raids, okay? So I want to apologize in advance for the runes that I have on them. These are all runes that I had left over from yesterday's free rune removal. I used these runes for the purpose of today's video, so these are not the units that I am going to be using in my R5 speed teams, but for today's examples, I wanted to rune them on non-godlike runes, so that way I can showcase what you can do if you don't have the best runes of the game. Because if you have the best rune of the game, you probably don't need to be watching this. So I wanted to show for the people who are going to be watching this who don't, farm Dragon's 10 in, a minute, these are the runes that you're probably going to have at that caliber. So this is, in my opinion, going to be more insightful and more helpful. So I have, if you don't know, Ardella has a skill 1, skill 2, and a passive. Her skill 1 offers a harmful effect on the enemy based on their element. So in the dungeon, in the raid dungeon, it's going to be attack break, which is super helpful because you want attack break. So when she has elemental advantage, she gives off defense break, which multiplies her damage. And then when she has elemental disadvantage, I think she gives off glancing hit. So it changes based on what element the opposing enemy is, and it also increases based on each harmful effect on the enemy, sort of like a Xiaolin, although the multiplier is nowhere near as high as Xiaolin. So that's her skill 1. She's the Wind Archer, so she's a non-nat 5. She's someone obtainable, and she's someone that can be made and is a common pre-Xiaolin meta raid type monster. So she's somebody everybody can get. Her skill 2 is a attack speed based single damage hit. Now I wouldn't recommend, because if you notice here it says reusable in 3 turns, 3-turn cooldown. As you'll notice, I did not get the last skill up here. I don't recommend that. A lot of people who are familiar with the Ardella meta don't use the last skill up into her. I got lucky. This was my first ever Ardella. As you know from skill ups, it's randomized into what skill the skill ups choose to go, into what skill tree. I got lucky and I was able to not get it into the last one. And the reason for that is because her primary DPS comes from skill 1. Skill 2 does damage and it's great, but it doesn't multiply off harmful effects the way that skill 1 does. So when you have 5 debuffs or more up on the boss, you're going to get a lot more damage being outputted. So you want this skill active at all times, which means that you don't want the skill up here, because if you get the skill up on skill 2, then she's going to be using it too frequently. And then skill 3, her bread and butter. This effectively gives her an extra 25% crit rate while also increasing her crit damage. So her crit damage increases, which means her general damage output increases based on how much damage she's taken. For recommended builds, depending on what raid you're in, you want to look at any kind of build that is going to allow her survivability while allowing her to output damage. So I don't want to be one of those guys that tells you violent, or rage. You want to think about what runes you can put on her that offer her HP, enough speed that she gets enough turns, and your damage stats. So if you have to put her on, 3 2-piece rune sets, go for it. I recommend 150 speed minimum across all your DPS. For backline, I recommend, and these are R5 stats. I'm going to give you R5 expected stats, because if your stats are good enough for R5, then you'll be fine everywhere else. You want 150 speed across all of your DPS, and you want at least 17,000 HP. I would say it's closer to 20. HP on your unit, so probably an HP rune. That's what I did on mine. I have her attack, crit damage, attack. Actually, let me just fix this a little bit so you can see a little bit more. Okay, so attack, crit damage, HP is what I have her on. She's got some speed subs. So that's what you want from her, ideally. And then what you want across your units too is resistance. Resistance is the one thing I wasn't able to get here. Her resistance is 32%, so with a Praha leader, that's effectively 73. You want higher. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get higher, so that's something that when you guys are making your builds, you want to look at. So that's our Della. She's a DPS unit. Some other examples of some DPS units that are farmable. You can create a Arcajan. So I don't have Arcajan, so let's go pull up monster collection here. I thought it was Arcajan. Sorry, it's Rakaja. So he has, I think it's attack slow, attack speed slow right here in skill 1. So on a revenge build, he's going to be hitting this pretty frequently. Then he has attacks enemy 2 times and stuns the target. So this is just a DPS skill. So if you were to build him frontline, as I earlier suggested, this skill would do more damage because if you build him frontline, you'll build him defense base. So therefore, you know, he's going to do more damage with that defense as opposed to non-defense. Okay, so the stun is irrelevant. It's just he'll do more damage on the build that you have him on, which in this case would be defense. And then here is Synergy, which is his heal. So it does a pretty good heal. I've seen him used here and there before. He's an obtainable unit. He's the 2-star Winyeti. You can get him in Magic Shop, and you can get him from Unknown Scrolls. So he is somebody you can build on your front line. And that would be somebody that I would use as a DPS perspective kind of unit. And so while we're in the wind, and this one I know everybody can guess. We're going to talk about copper. Oh, I'm sorry. For Rakaja, I would recommend, again, I really don't want to be that guy that talks about required builds and puts into people's minds required builds for units. You always want to think about your stats. So I'm not going to actually give recommended sets. I'm going to be one of those guys that chooses not to. I'm going to tell you recommended stats, and then you can fiddle in the blanks based on the sets that you prefer and you have. Violent is not required for raid. It's actually not preferred because Violent gives your team more turns, and as some people may not know, the dragon's damage output increases and his turns increase based on how many turns your units get. So you don't want Violent. Anyhow, so for Yeti, you looking for him to be on the front line. He's going to have low stats. Let me see if somebody has a maxed one so we can see what his defense is. So 615 is actually not that bad. His HP is kind of bad. So you want Rakaja to have minimum, I would say if you're doing a 2-man front, 1700 defense. 1700 defense each on a 2-man front for R5. You want him to be defense, crit damage, defense. Maybe some HP subs. He doesn't really need speed so much. And so he can be, you know, taking enough damage that he'll still be able to output damage and survive. One of the sets that I really want to highlight for raids is the Nemesis set. And so while we're talking about Rakaja on the front line, let's talk about Nemesis. So Nemesis is important for raids because the Nemesis set is designed for big chunks of damage. It's designed for burst damage. So what happens with Nemesis is that when you lose 7% of your HP, your attack gauge increases by 4%. So if you lose a little bit of HP, you know, little by little by little, the kind of attack bar increase you're going to get is going to be lower because the yield on your HP dropping is going to be low. So if you lose only 14% HP, then you're only going to get an 8% attack gauge increase. But if you lose, and this is completely random numbers, I didn't do the division here, but if you lose 50% HP or 60%, you're going to get 20 or 30% attack gauge increase. So it's a very good set for raids because when you get closer to those AoEs, they do big chunks of damage. So Nemesis is a set that I am only, and it's a 2 set. I would recommend Nemesis across your frontline units. If you guys want to check out my Necro 10, I call it the 95% farmable 3-star unit team, then check that out. So that way you can see some obtainable Necro 10 units so you can farm those Nemesis runes because you can get it from Necro. Nemesis is very important for these units, especially on your healers. That's the set that I recommend. If I had to suggest the only unit on your team that should be Violent, it would be your Cleanser. Because your Cleanser needs to maximize their turn so they can kind of go, you know? So, what else do we have? There's only really one more unit I want to highlight Then we're going to start rolling right into the raids. The other unit I want to talk about is Darien. Darien should be your other frontline unit. Darien is obtainable on light day. He's not required, through scrolls. So Darien gives you defense break on skill 1, attack break on skill 2, and then defense break on skill 1, attack break on skill 2, and then his passive. And so you want your Darien to be on a frontliner set with HP and defense mixed in. And the reason for that is because he's going to be taking damage, but it's important he survives because his passive will also mitigate 50% damage across all of your allies, which is also why you want to have resistance on him. So I'm going to show you my Darien in a minute. So we covered Ardella, we covered Rakaja, we covered Copper. Copper I didn't go into details about because everybody knows who Copper is. I wanted this video to be more about units that maybe people haven't considered, but raids have been out for so long that I'm sure people have tried Copper already. If not, leave a comment on the bottom and I'll go into detail. So my Darien is right here. This is my Darien. So he's got effectively 1800 defense and 25,000 HP. But you'll see this resistance. This resistance was an accident. I ended up getting a lot of resistance across my runes, so I decided to leave it. I still haven't grinded a lot of these runes, so I can make him much better. But as you'll see here, you'll notice I don't have him on Violent. It's not necessary for him to be on Violent. He doesn't require more turns. He simply needs to stay alive and have the required stats. So I have mine on, HP defense? Oh, HP and double defense. And so he doesn't really die much. So without further ado, let's jump right into this. Oh. TSM is a friend of mine. When we reach the R5 point of the video, we're going to link up with him. So he can do R5 with us. So let's do with the worlds. We're going to start with level 1. And we're going to just join. And we're going to take a look here at who we're going to use. So we're going to use some different units here because I want to be able to showcase a couple different things. So let's definitely bring Colleen. We're going to leave Colleen on the front line. We're going to use Zhongfei as my second DPS. We're going to bring Stella. We're going to bring Tayor as my nuker. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to bring Ardella for that bottom spot. We're going to use him. Where is my Ardella? Then I need one more unit. And let's toss in let's bring in Hua. Oh, leader skill. Okay, so I'm bringing this team because it offers several different things, right? Colleen is the crucial 2-star unit that you want to have in your raid teams, no matter what level you're running. So Colleen is the unit that is going to be giving the attack break on skill 1, the heal block on skill 2, and then, I guess these guys have never cleared this before. I guess I'm going to help them clear it. And their skill, her skill 3 is on a 2-turn cooldown. Now, Colleen is a dumb healer. She's not a smart healer. And the reason why I say that is because her AI is going to heal her team based on whether or not they have attack buff and not based on whether or not they are on low HP. So that's what Colleen is there for. Alternatives to Colleen are Chasun, and I would just say Chasun because Chasun's another dumb healer. The smart healer alternatives would be Hua. Not Hua. I was thinking about something there. Bella. Bella's a smart healer. She heals based on your allies' actual HP as opposed to whether or not they need any buffs. So you want healers that don't bring buffs. So Praha is an example of another one. So Colleen, a fast Colleen, is how you're going to rule this column here. It's going to be based on your assist. Okay, so that's what she's there for, because she's giving attack break and attack slow, and so heal block, and so therefore she's offering debuffs to the boss, which is going to increase your assist category. And so damage here is just coming from my Stella, which I really just brought to speed up the run, so we can kind of get some branding and some defense break going on, which kind of speeds up the run, so the damage multiplies. Defense break offers 75% extra damage, and then branding offers 25%. So between those two, you're going to have a 100% extra damage, which means double damage. And with attack speed slow, with attack buff, that's an extra 50%. No. Now we're going to go and we're going to do R2. Join. We're going to use the same team so we can talk about that team some more. So some of the things that can kind of benefit your raid teams, I would suggest... Are they ready? Sorry. I would suggest for raid 1 and 2, you don't need absurdly high defense. As you saw my team there, they didn't really sustain too much damage. You're looking for above 1,000 defense. I've done some testing on this. So it's 1,000 defenses where you want to be across your frontline units for R1 and 2. So you don't need crazy, absurd stats. You're looking for 1,000 defense, and you can't really go wrong with 1,000 defense and 20,000 HP. So Zhang Fei is your farmable frontliner. So for a more farmable approach to raids in general, what I would be creating, I would do Zhang Fei as my frontliner, and then I would do Rakaja as a frontliner, and Darien as a frontliner. So those are your 3 frontliners I would do from a farmable approach for frontline. And then for backline, I would do Colleen, Bella, and Ardella. And so that would be a very safe team because it would offer you 3 frontline units to mitigate damage. Plus Darien's passive will mitigate further damage. Then you have your farmable DPS, which would be Ardella, and then you have 2.5 healers, really. Well, actually, 3.5 healers, because you have Rakaja, Bella, Colleen, and then you have Calm Mind from Zhang Fei. So you would have a very safe team there, and it would offer a lot. So one of the superstars to raids is Hua. What category? Oh, wow. Okay, Omega Zero, nice. One of the things that Hua offers that makes her a real superstar for raids across the board is that she does cut the attack gauge of the boss by 25%. She does give attack speed slow, which are constant debuffs. So typically, I've noticed that the person on the team with the fastest Hua is usually the person who has the highest assist category and some of the... Oh, he brought a Teor. That's so unfair. I didn't bring my Teor or my Sierra or any of my guys. This is supposed to be a farmable video. Sorry, that was so cheesy. I'm like, how is this guy beating me? And then I realized he brought heavy DPS, and I'm using, non-primary DPS units. So that typically the leader there for the assist category is going to be the fastest Hua, which means that they're also going to have high damage because Hua is typically built on damage. So that's what we're going to do there. Now we're going to join here. Let's get some crystals in. Join party, searching for level 3. Okay, and then I think we're going to play around with it a little bit. So I guess I can do crit. Okay, let's drop Stella. And then let's bring Darien. Just for the sake of the video, okay? Actually, oops. You know what, let's do it. Why not? So, some of the things that could be... Do they want me to change something? Probably checking out my runes. It'd be funny if I get kicked because they think that... Okay, that'd been hilarious. I'm sure he was scouting my runes. Some of the things that you really want to be conscientious of when you're raiding is it's imperative that no matter what raid you're in, I believe that it's not about how much DPS is output. I believe it's about how many consistent debuffs are output. So it's imperative that your most important ruined units are your healers, which typically should be your Colleen, because your Colleen is the unit who's going to give out everything. She's going to keep the heal block on, so as you see my contribution, right, it's all coming from assist. right? Because I'm noticing I have the fastest Colleen, which means that I'm the person who's dealing out the attack break and the heal block the most consistently, since I'm getting the most turns. So it's important that you have that. It's not so much about DPS. And then it's also imperative that you have attack speed slow up at all times. So that's something that a lot of people, I feel like, forget when they're creating their raid teams. And when you don't keep that in mind, in the words of, what is it, Mr. Garrison in South Park, you're gonna have a bad time, okay? I'm a South Park fan. So it's something you really want to be aware of. Other than that, my suggestions remain the same here. This is a team that minus, I should probably drop my Wind Monkey King. I only brought him in just for extra DPS. I would have loved to have put Rakaja in the spot there, but I don't have Rakaja. So I would have been able to show him better. Now that we're going to get into R4, I'm going to switch up the teams a little bit. So we'll leave Colleen, Zhongfei, and Darien, and then we'll drop, you know, Xingzi, Hua, and Ardella, and we'll start going into a more advanced approach here, because now we're getting into the higher levels. So if you have questions about anything that I may have missed or spoke too much on, feel free to leave comments at the bottom. I sort of covered some beginner's tips for raid 1 through 3. This is now raid 3. So now as we get into R4 and R5, I'm going to switch up teams and go a little bit more advanced, because these raids are a bit tougher. My team is beginning to take noticeable damage here, so I'm going to have to do something about that. Okay, what else did I want to talk about? We've got... So now that we're talking about DPS on the more advanced teams, some of the, you know, current meta DPS units are the Wind Homunculus and the Water Kung Fu Girl Xiaolin. So I have Xiaolin. I just ruined her up yesterday, so we're going to take a look at mine. But I don't have Wind Homunculus yet. I've kind of been neglecting that, so we're going to take a look at that. Oh, he got a nice gem. Jeez, bro. Oh, I'm going to keep that. See? And they say you don't get good stuff in R3. Yeah, right. Okay, so now let's go into R4. Let's actually make the party here, just so that gives me an extra minute to kind of change up my team. So let's drop these units. I'm gonna backline her. Oh, I just realized I was running without a cleanser, so we're gonna have to add my Rividi. So here's my Sierra. Wouldn't have resistance. Oh, he left. Ah. We're gonna use my Praha. And ooh. Actually, let's drop Sierra. Let's put Rividi on the front, and then Xiaolin in the back. Okay. So, my cleanser is on... Sorry, let me just see. What are they waiting for? Press start, buddy. So, this is my Rividi. I have mine on speed, HP, defense. I'm sorry. I'm waiting for this guy to press start. Any minute, my friend. If he doesn't press anything, we'll have to remove him and get someone else in here. So, Rividi is somebody that I should ideally have a lot faster. As you see here in the bottom, I have Lisa. I have Lisa on very weird runes. I haven't ruined her. I haven't skilled her up. It took me a long time to get her. So, I kind of had to wait until I pulled her, and then I've had Velajul and Rividi for so long that I didn't really... use them. What is this guy doing? Alright, just because this is like a test video, I'm gonna run this, but I really shouldn't. I'm curious to see how his team performs with a Orion and a Ritesh. That's an interesting team there. I wouldn't advise Orion in here, but I can understand, especially if he's accuracy based, why you would want to use him, since he can give off a lot of debuffs. The problem with Orion is, and as we were alluding to earlier, you don't want too many extra turns, because too many extra turns means that the boss gets stronger too. So you don't really want that. So Rividi, I was talking about your cleanser. Your cleanser should be 200 speed minimum for R5. And it's important that your cleanser is fast, because they need to be able to get enough turns that they can cleanse and keep their skills as active as possible. So 200 minimum. My Rividi's are a little bit on the slower side, but let's take a look. Wow, I haven't really done anything here yet. Maybe we need a speed lead so my Xiaolin moves. I haven't seen Water Dragon attack yet. Let's scout out. So this is my Rividi. She's on weird runes. She's optimally built. She just needs a little bit more HP and some more speed, but you know, I don't even know if I haven't really grinded any of these runes. So she is enough on my front line that I leave her as is. This is my Zhongfei. He's again not built with super crazy runes. I haven't even maxed the runes. He does his job. HP defense. Darien we've seen earlier. This is my Xiaolin. Runes are not yet grinded. Only a few stats here and there. So she has a long way that she can go. I need to get more crit rate on her, some more HP, and some more speed. But her damage and her defense is fine. Typically, I do use her in R5 frontline. Then we have my Praha. This is an entire new build that I'm trying from yesterday. Again, runes aren't maxed. Now, this is a common mistake. Your 246 should always be maxed for raids. That'd be funny if I'm dead already, because look at my stats here. Wow. I am not contributing at all. I think I made the mistake of using... Oh, there's her Water Dragon attack. I think I made the mistake of bringing Xiaolin as my only DPS. Forgetting how slow she is. She's just not getting enough turns to output damage, so I should have brought Sierra. We'll adjust that next turn, or maybe Tayor. So, Nemesis Will. We're going to talk about why I built her like that in a different video. That's more for PvP than PvE. But I do like, again, Nemesis on my healers, so it's kind of a double benefit that I have her built the way that I do. So minus speed, HP. I've got this great defense stat here that I'm going to be able to roll 30+% when I get the right rune. So she'll be able to be R5 frontline. Right now she's not. And this is my Colleen. So I went very different. I went speed, HP, defense. I used to have her speed, HP, but I changed things up here because I'm using her in my fire elemental dungeon in the raid element. And I've been neglecting that forever, which is why I have my homunculus, but I don't have him in any element. He's still fire and base skilled. And it's because I didn't have Xiaolin, and I was getting S on it. I was like 30,000 damage away from double S, which I have now. And so it provided me the lack of interest in doing it. So, you know, that's, again, another video. But I tried this build on her because I needed her to have some defense to survive that front line. Did I die? Oh, no. Fine. At least I'm sustaining. I just brought the wrong line up here, so... Wow. I'm not contributing at all. I should have paid more attention to the team I was bringing. Hey, if we win, we win. So that was the reason why I tried Colleen on the build that I did. And now, so these guys are running Chasun, Violent Nemesis, Xing Z, no crit damage, Colleen, Hua. Okay. All right. So that was R4. So you got to see some of the units that were on the front line. Nobody died. And now we're going to meet up with one of my R5 guys. Okay. So we're gonna put Xiaolin on the front. We're gonna drop Praha and bring Sierra. We might have to change that depending on who else joins, but we'll see how it goes. We'll just give this a minute. And then if we can't get anybody, then we'll, oh, whoops. Then we'll go public or something. Okay. So while we're waiting, we can talk about the plan here. And so the team that I typically use. Okay, so we'll look at units that we didn't look at before, which is really Sierra. This is my Sierra. I want to switch her out from Focus to Will and get a lot more HP on her, but this rune that I have here it's really nice, so I don't really want to take it off her, and I don't really want to go offset. That attack and that defense here are super great, and these are, I think, purples, so when I get legends for them, I can hit 25 on this and 20 on this stat, which is really good as substats on a speed rune, so I want to keep that. So I have mine speed, attack. These aren't, you know, she's not really max grinded. She can still be enchanted too. Okay, why don't we try the invite one more time, and then if we can't get anybody, we'll go public. We won't make everybody wait. I'm sorry about the delay here. I did try to have some people prepared to R5 because I anticipated this would happen. But it's a Sunday, so people are out. Okay. What else? I could put Pra in here. I might do so. It depends on who else we get. If we need a resistance leader, so you can already see that we might need that. I'm gonna drop Darian and put Praha. Just to be safe, I'm gonna do this actually. Okay. Oh, I should have checked their runes. We'll check the runes in here. I'm very nervous about public runs in R5 though, because even though the rates have been out for a while, not everybody is completely optimized yet, which can hinder performance on your teammates. So we'll scout their runes in a moment. That's why I switched up my lineup there, because I've never run with these guys and I don't know them. I don't know how they're going to perform, so I went the safer route here. So let's start with Desert Fox. He's running Zhang Fei, and as you can see, he's got way better runes than mine. My runes on Zhang Fei are, you know, hand-me-down runes. So he went Guard and Double Revenge, which I like. Again, he stayed away from Violent. Oh, I like that. Defense 27%, that's pretty nice. Then he's got an Aerial here. I have Eladriel and Veligil. I want Aerial. And his Aerial's Violent Nemesis. Some nice runes. What kind of resistance does he have? 55%, which isn't bad. He's got his Hua on Violent Revenge. These are nice stats for Hua, but her attack is very low. If I may be so bold as to give some advice here, I would not go crit damage on this Hua with that low attack. It looks like she's speed, crit damage, HP. Okay, I called that. And you can tell. So crit damage is there to multiply damage. It's there to multiply attack. If you don't have high attack, then there's no damage to multiply, right? So I wouldn't have done that. I probably would have just went crit rate here. And just had 100% crit rate and crit damage subs. Wow, it looks like we're all pretty neck and neck. We're all switching around. They have Huas, which is why they're out DPSing me. You have to consider my Zhao Lin is on the back line and not the front line, so she's not revenge hitting as frequently, and my Sierra doesn't do damage on skill 1, she's all about skill 2, which is up every other turn, if I'm lucky, you know, between Violent and so on and so forth. So as a result of that, I don't have consistent turn 1 DPS the way they do with their Huas. So let's look at his Zhao Lin. His Zhao Lin is pretty good. I would like less HP and more defense. I prefer my build better than his, but then again, he has much more crit rate. So I like that crit rate there. Looks like he lost his Colleen. His Colleen must have been... Oh, he's wiping. Wow. And his Veligil's not bad. Are we dying? Wait, who's... Oh, he's wiping. And this is why I don't do public runs. He's wiping a little early. And so this... We're probably going to fail here because what's going to happen is because I'm in the middle, when he wipes, when this bar gets down over here to the last quarter and he gets hit by the AoE, he's going to wipe. And when he wipes, I'm going to have to fight 2 dragons. And since I'm not running much Nemesis, I don't know if I'll be able to sustain my AoE and then have him wipe and have the dragon hit me before I heal up. So this is the moment I'm talking about. We'll see how it goes. The anticipation. Okay. Oh, he sustained. Okay, nice. Alright, so when we look at that, now let's look at Shock. We're going to look at their runes because we've already seen mine. Oh, he's wiping too. Oh, bro. Oh, no. I'm the last one alive. I told you, as soon as the second dragon started hitting me. Epic fail. This is why you want to raid with people that you know. So we're going to... I mean, we did see the final AoE, right? So for the purposes of the video, I showed the teams that I was using. I showed their runes. And I also showed the theories behind it. So if we can't get anybody here, we're going to end the video because we got to see what was important. For bragging rates, it would have been nice if we had one, but we didn't. So it is what it is. We're not gonna, you know, I don't want to keep this video going for 10 minutes while we wait for people to join and we do more testing. R5 is fickle like that, so from experience I've learned, if you don't have the people you know, then pubs are not the way to go. For reasons like that. Which is exactly as I called it. It's precisely what I said was going to happen on that final AoE. You can tell that their healers just weren't fast enough to deal with that final dragon's AoE. So we'll give it 30 more seconds. I've got my counter here at the bottom of OBS. And if nobody joins, then we'll call that the end. Let me just reference my notes. I don't feel like I missed anything else, so thank you guys for tuning in to today's video. I hope this was insightful. I apologize that I didn't get to showcase an actual R5 clear, but we got to the hardest part, which is that... Oh, my friend Nate. Wait a minute. There's one. Nice. Let's go crit rate. Oh, let me just send him a quick message. Oh, wait. Private chat. Nate. Okay, nice. Oh, and there's another friend of mine. Okay, they joined. Nice, there we go. So let's do... I've got resistance, defense, and crit rate. Looks like we're ready to go. These are some of my stronger friends, too. Nate here is going to destroy me. I was leading towards the end there. Yeah, look at his Owlin. It's a thing of beauty. Oh, man, I'm jealous now. Okay, so this is going to be fine. Oh, I should have switched my lineups. I don't need to run safe here. I could have put Owlin in the front, and I got distracted by his Owlin's beauty. So we'll take a look at their runes, right? So my friend Nate here is no joke. So he's got plus 123 here. So 227 speed Lisa. Not even factoring in max tower. And he's got her built for frontline. Some nice stats. And he's got Diaz. Now, advanced tip. A lot of people go 4-man fronts for R5, which allows them to kind of run lower stats, okay? And it also allows them to have a Xiaolin kind of front and more DPS on the front. It's important that when you do that, with a 4-man front, you don't need a 1700 across the board defense on them because since there are more units spreading out the damage, they can use less stats. But this is why you still want a damage mitigator in the form of Diaz or Darien, because that 15% damage that they mitigate also adds up, which is what you want. What the Foi is a famous global G3/Legend player who has videos out about that. If you want to reference those videos, feel free to. This is his Chasun, Killer Runes, Colleen. Oh my goodness. His Xiaolin is in the backline. I don't know why. Alright, but his is also max grinded, and mine isn't anywhere near grinded, so I'm not as jealous as I was. And then he's got a Hua. I can't wait to replace my Sierra with a Wind Homunculus. Then we've got my friend Amano Jaku. He's got Ariel, Violent Nemesis, Zhong Fei, Violent Guard. Nice stats. He's got a Fei here. This is like the dream team right here. Fei and Kung Fu Girl, like the deadly sisters. Call them the sister assassins. It's so badass because you got Fei who ignores defense, and you've got Zhao Lin who stacks damage based on debuffs. So the reason why he's not doing as much DPS as me is because his Zhao Lin doesn't have crit damage. He went crit rate. And so that's why he's not outbeating me, because his... Am I wiping? Oh, I'm wiping. Okay. That's so funny. We're outputting more damage here faster, and I'm wiping, but I was fine last video. Okay, so... Then he's got his Lisa. Where was his Lisa stats? Plus 99, so that's 203. That's not bad. And then you've got Colleen. Not bad stats. I should have fixed my front line. I completely forgot to do that. That's why I wanted to go back to 4-man front instead of 2-man. We'll be fine. What else do I want to talk about? Endgame advanced tips. Faster R5 runs. People are using Wind Homunculus or Stella because they also offer branding, which means that with your defense buff or defense break, you've got your 75% damage. Your branding's 25%. That's 100% damage increase. Then you've got your attack buff from Colleen, which is an extra 50% damage. So you have all three of those damage multipliers going, and then you have paired with your Zhao Lins, you have all of these. Wow, I really held on there. Did you see that? I think look, my friend Amano started dying. So that was a cool thing we got to see there, because even though I lost my back line, like 2 of my units, my front line held strong. So that was cool. So this is going to conclude our video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know if anybody has any questions. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and leave comments below if anybody wants to see other content. Thank you.